Welcome to ontopicretro, episode 7. I'm John Cummins, and joining me tonight is Sam Wagers. And we have special guest Andrew and Micah from the Nintendo Pals.
Hey,
how are you guys doing tonight?
Yo,
it's
good.
us. Yeah, we're doing. Did you say pretty good?
Yeah.
What do I say? I don't. No one asks me how
Well, that's
I'm.
'cause
Micah
I never
is
asked
pretty
you, so
good.
You don't have a
Pretty
say.
good.
I don't believe
Who
it.
could have guessed?
I'm also doing pretty good. Excited to be here. A fantastic game with some fantastic people. Always a blast podcasting with Dat Fast and Third Strongest Mole.
Yes, this is first time for you guys. I've had Sam on previously. I have a feeling that I'm going to get kind of like a round table of regulars. Just people that want to do podcasts are kind of hard to find sometimes, expert wise.
Yeah, that's why I forced Micah to join me. He didn't get a choice.
Oh, I figured he was dragging you along and he wanted to come on.
Yeah, that's what I should start telling people. Yeah. But you want to talk anything Genesis? Micah's the guy, man. Like, that was...
Yeah.
I remember 2 games I had on the Genesis, essentially. So,
Did you have Sonic and Echo the Dolphin?
oh, that 3 games now. Yeah, I have Sonic's 1, 2, and 3. Actually, I'm trying to remember if I did have I must have had Echo the Dolphin on the Genesis, but I only finished it on the Game Boy Advance, the Sega Smash Pack.
No. Nice. Yeah, the Game Boy Advance was like a cool culmination of like a ton of different generations of games coming in there. You had NES stuff coming in, Super Nintendo, Genesis. Like, it was just it was all going to come on.
It was a port
platform.
machine.
It
for
was.
Sure.
It's one of those things where like it was either a port machine because it was the right place for it, or because it was lacking in original content, so they needed stuff to like kind of fill it in.
Well, that and I think that was the point by which pretty much everybody else had given up on making a handheld work. So it was like the sole handheld platform.
Yeah. I mean, it had a couple years, I guess, because would the PSP come out in what 2004, 2003, somewhere around there?
Yeah. Well, at least like Sega was done.
Oh yeah, Sega
with
was
the Game Gear
done everywhere by then.
Neo Geo Pocket was out.
Yeah, it's a sad day for the good old Neo Geo Pocket. Even the color couldn't revive it. But anyway, we're not here to talk about handheld consoles. That's a different episode. We'll get there eventually. But tonight's episode is on Gunstar Heroes, and it's a fantastic, just everything that was good about the Genesis was available on this game. Great music, buttery smooth controls. Like this was blast processing at its core. Whenever you're playing this game.
There's a lot of blasting going on at any rate.
Yeah, definitely. And we're going to get right down to it. We're going to talk some experiences. I didn't get any community experiences that I've seen, so it's just going to be us tonight talking about it. But I can't wait to hear what you guys have to say about it for sure. So... I know that Micah and Andrew played together co-op, so I guess I'll let them kind of like pass the baton back and forth, and you guys can talk about your experiences together.
Yeah, we first played it through the Sega Genesis online app on the Nintendo Switch, which when that dropped, we decided to play some of the games co-op on there. Played some Golden Axe, which... That was your pick, right?
The Smash Pack.
Yeah. So Micah was like, "Oh, Golden Axe is pretty great," and it was pretty good.
Impressed.
It was all right. I mean, it wasn't Gunstar Heroes. I'll tell you that much, because Gunstar Heroes holds up. Like, it's really good.
It's crazy.
I'm a big fan of the run and gun genre. I mean, it's like got that Contra vibe to it, you know.
Oh yeah.
But this one had like the different combining of power ups. The co-op play was super fun. There's no friendly fire, but there is friend fire,
Unfortunately.
as we discovered pretty quickly by accidentally throwing each other into enemies a whole bunch.
That was
Oh, yeah.
potentially the best part of the game. At least
Mhm.
co-op wise.
I think it was pretty late in game that we discovered like melee attacks too.
Oh yeah, you just like body slam people.
Yeah,
Maybe
you
you're
like
jump
Oh, yeah.
kicking. I'm not quite sure.
You don't just throw yourself; you can throw the enemies too.
Oh,
Yep.
Yep.
Man, it's super fun. Micah, you had like we had preferred power up combos. Do you remember what yours was?
Yeah, I started double fire, but I think for like the last boss gauntlet, I might have switched to the homing fire. I think it was chaser and flame.
Yes.
I don't know what the power up is called, but I did double green stars, which
Yeah, I think
is
the
like
chaser.
that's chaser.
Yes, that's
Mm.
Chaser.
Yep.
I
Yeah,
assume so,
so-
since it follows them or
And
chases
that like
the enemies.
yeah, that like hones in on enemies, and it's essentially easy mode. Maybe that's why I played with that one.
Yeah.
because you don't
For
have
bosses,
to do anything.
it's like it's almost like a key item.
But yeah, unless you just
Definitely,
focus on dodging.
if you play not fixed, so then you basically just hold the fire button down and keep moving. I actually really
Yeah.
like playing fixed though. I think it feels more rewarding for sure. My favorite is Fire and Force, the one that explodes on hit, and actually when you release the button, it explodes too. So you actually have a pretty good amount of
I didn't know
control with that one.
I didn't try that combo. I
Fire
like
Force, man.
the double fire. So when playing in co-op, it was nice because Micah had the double fire for a lot of the game, and so he was basically a short range, just powerhouse. And then with the double chaser, I was taking out things before they even showed up on screen. So I was taking kind of edges, and he was handling everything around our immediate vicinity. It was fun. It was really fun to figure out that like dynamic, and then as we're moving through the stage, and then figuring out the boss battles, because each stage takes this. I guess it changes up throughout the game, but typically you had like a side-scrolling level with an ending boss, and
Usually a mid boss too.
Yeah, mid boss as well for most
Yep.
of them.
And the boss fights were definitely like the hardest part of the game. Like those side-scrolling portions were just basically to get to that, and then it felt like we died a whole bunch on the boss fights, and we just start back up.
Especially me, I was a little too close at times.
Yeah, because he was a.
Did you play on normal difficulty or did you try easy
normal difficulty
or hard?
So we
normal.
must have normal. I don't even remember there being difficulties when we started playing. So
Yeah, that's what it'll set by default if you don't go into options when you start the game.
Yeah.
Yep.
So yeah, we just played on normal.
yeah,
But now that we
hard
know there's
difficulty,
hard,
I mean, might have to play again.
yeah,
Well, and also you get you can choose between the fixed or free aiming in it, but you can't change it. Once you start the game, that's what you get.
yeah, and I can't remember. Did you pick fixed, Micah, and I picked free,
I think I just stayed free.
and I did fixed. I don't remember which one was which, and I don't remember which one I had specifically because I didn't need to because I was just running and shooting the chaser. So it doesn't matter which one I had. I'm just shooting.
Shoot behind you.
Well, that's the thing. If you go fixed, you cannot run and shoot at the same time.
Yeah.
Only while jumping, basically.
So I wasn't fixed.
Yeah, although
But I think
But
you
fixed
were.
does make it a lot easier to hit somebody from a stationary point.
yeah, so
Since
you don't have to like
won't
run
move,
right
you
at
can
them.
aim, diagonal and stay in the
Although
same spot.
I seem to
Well, that's
remember there being a
because-
button you could hold that would stop you from moving while you shot.
No, this isn't Metroid.
Not in this game. I think Gunstar Superheroes might have that, or
I
no,
believe so. I believe it's
the
a shoulder
3DS,
button, isn't it?
the 3DS, the 3D remake on 3DS.
Oh, that's right.
I think
I
that
think
gave you an option to do that.
I think the Game Boy Advance game had it too. I thought it was a shoulder button assignment.
It could be.
I think they might have that in this version. I seem to recall being able to use the shoulder button. Maybe not. I gotta pull it out. Hold on now. You guys keep
Gotta
going.
fact
I don't
check.
think so, unless did they make a Sega Ages version of Gunstar?
They didn't
Can't
make a Sega
remember.
Ages version, I don't think, but they did they did a 3D version on 3DS, part of the 3D
Yes.
classics.
Yeah. The 3DS I know had the special version with like updated mechanics. That's usually like a Sega Ages thing for newer consoles, but I don't. Being that the NSO app is basically just a 1-to-1 emulation of the original game. I don't think it had the updated controls.
Yeah,
That
that
I
would make
remember.
sense. I'm probably just making this up.
Yeah, because otherwise, if you don't play fixed, it does get kind of tough whenever you're fighting the bosses that like to stand or like to
Yeah.
kind of move around. It's hard to get your shots in because you're constantly running while
Yep.
you're trying to aim,
Yep.
which makes it a little bit difficult. But then that's why you have like slides and things to like reposition yourself. So there's definitely some things you can do to kind of counter that. But I agree, playing fixed has its fun, but there's also some times where it's nice to be able to just run across the map and just spray. So
Yeah, especially like the stage 5, because there's just a long stretch of that with
oh yeah,
constantly spawning enemies.
and like I said, it would have been nice if you had the option to like kind of change your style in the middle of the game, but it's you basically just
Mm-hmm.
have to pick one and go with it. So
Yeah,
that
what
would
I
have
was
been pretty.
remembering is that you can shoot straight up because you're not moving when you're shooting straight up.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So yeah, I was
Well,
definitely playing.
and it's interesting too because Alien Soldier, which I think started as a sequel to Gunstar Heroes before they kind of decided to take it in a slightly different direction. You can definitely see some similarities in the games. That has the ability to switch freely during gameplay, but
Yeah,
it does come at the expense where free mode will make you run out of ammo faster.
yeah, and it might have
Ammo.
been
Oh
something they
man,
didn't even think about at the
imagine
time.
that
Yeah,
in Gunstar Heroes.
yeah, I have ammo.
Like, could have been
Yeah.
rough.
This
So
is one of those
Just more
games.
body slamming.
It's one of those classic games where you just get to a point once all the power ups are, you got all your power ups. You just get to this point where there's so much happening on screen that the game can't keep up,
oh yeah,
and it's almost by design. Like, okay, things are moving in slow
Mm-hmm.
motion now. Bullet time before it was intentional.
this is true. Definitely a limitation of the Sega Genesis at the time. But I
Yeah,
mean, it was more powerful. I can only imagine that trying to pull this game off on the Super Nintendo probably would have been pretty much worse.
you drop to like 3 frames a second,
Probably, yeah.
full speed.
Well,
But part of that was just really fun. I really like I really like that, like just absolute chaos in a game like this, because it just captures this vibe of being on the battlefield, and it's crazy. There's a lot going on.
For sure.
from a technical perspective too, the things they were able to do on the Genesis specifically without things like Mode 7 is actually really impressive because there's a lot of like
Oh yeah.
sprite rotation and things going on here.
Well, yeah, and I mean, all these things were being done with the hardware by itself, where Mode 7 required additional processing power through a chip in the game itself. So uh, there was lots of technical feats happening with Sega Genesis games at the time, and I think that a lot of that comes from Nintendo being on top at the time and Sega like having to use what they had to push their system to the limits to keep up or even surpass. Try to outdo Nintendo at their own game. So definitely some neat things. And this is coming from somebody that was I have barely ever played a Sega Genesis as a kid. I had a few friends that had one. I never owned one. So coming back and experiencing all these things on the Genesis later is pretty awesome.
Well, it's much the same case for me. I know I probably mentioned this a lot, but this is one of those mini games that I was introduced to through the Wii Virtual Console. And specifically, Gunstar Heroes along with Streets of Rage 2 are the games that convinced me the Genesis was, in fact, something I'd missed out on. Because prior to that point, all I'd really seen or played on the Genesis was Sonic the Hedgehog, and I didn't care for it. But those two games remain probably my top two Sega Genesis games to this day, for good reason.
It's okay. We're the Nintendo pals. We can hate on Sonic as well.
Hey, as long as Dan's not here, we're free to hate on Sonic all we want.
I mean, I
He's
like the first three Sonic
keeper.
games.
Hey, get out of here.
Do you really?
No, I actually do. I do like classic Sonic is pretty good. I think
it's
after
like
that,
Mario,
things get
but
questionable.
faster and better, right?
No. So the first Sonic,
Maybe
you
the
can kind of
first
just
part.
leave that one somewhere. Sonic 2 gets better. Sonic 3's maybe even.
Why
like a
would you play
notch.
Sonic when you have Gunstar Heroes? That's the real question.
That is a very good question.
Because you don't get to move fast like you do playing Sonic. At least not as fast.
Sonic's
Plus
a lot
Tails.
of trying to move fast, but then end up having to slow down because of an obstacle. In the
I mean,
level.
turn this into a hate Sonic episode. This is what happens when Dan's not here.
I mean,
We start talking crap on
It
Sonic.
sounds like you just needed to get better at Sonic so you didn't hit all these obstacles.
Man.
I
I feel
don't know
like
about that.
like late game Sonic, it's not about speed. It's just like
Sonic 1 becomes an incompetent platformer very quickly.
yeah, Sonic 2. But I do enjoy some Sonic Spinball. I'll say that.
Sonic Spinball, yeah, is good.
But
Except the final
Gunstar
boss.
Heroes was better in my opinion. I'll throw it out there. I just have
Way
opinion.
better.
I'll upvote Gunstar as well. So you two finished the game recently. And Sam, your experiences go back a little bit further, right?
Yeah. I played through this game a couple times.
You played through it on the Wii Virtual Console, so
co-op and solo. Yep.
This was also so. None of us here played it when it originally came out.
Nope. Unfortunately.
Seems like it.
I think I played it in the late 90s with a friend on a Sega Genesis. We never did complete the game, though. And then
it's pretty hard. It gets very difficult.
It is hard, but at least they give you infinite continues.
Yeah,
and it's not very long.
Yeah, the
pretty
main
short.
thing is
Snow
that
Block
last
is
stage
what I'm
is a
hearing.
bit of a gauntlet.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that last stage is so long.
It's the opposite of Kid Icarus. Like, it progressively gets a little bit harder to where it gets extremely hard. But it's a rather short game, so you don't have to pound it out too long to get to a finish. I think it's like what, a 3.5, 4 hour game maybe. It's pretty quick.
I mean, if you never continue,
Yeah,
you
it's
could
like if you
probably
don't
beat it
die
in
a
like an
bunch.
hour.
yeah,
If you never die.
I'm talking about like your first time playthrough, learning all the bosses, because there's a lot of learning. There's a lot of patterns to the game. So I mean, you definitely have to put some time.
Well,
into
especially
it.
when you're fighting Seven Force for the first time and you die, and then he whips out a brand new form the second time you.
Oh,
Yep.
Yeah, I think that was the first level we tried.
Yeah, it was like the worst.
Oh,
pick.
this is one of the best boss fights ever, though.
But it's
Turns
just
into a
never
giant
ending. We're
gun.
like, when does this end? When do we win?
I
Never.
like.
Try
blocked
fighting
that
the one in Alien Soldier. It's way harder.
Oh man, got it. Yeah, I'm gonna give Alien Soldier a try now that I know that it was a spiritual sequel successor.
It is
I
actually
mean-
a much harder game. I will warn you. It makes Gunstar
Right
Heroes
on.
look easy.
It's for babies.
Gunstar Heroes for babies. Yeah, I really like. So the ending sequence of this game, you just talked about the boss gauntlet. So first off, the game seems like it should end like 4 times, right? Like, you beat the big general guy from the beginning. It's like, oh, it turns out he was not the final boss. The final boss was
Yeah. They play it
This
out to like
guy,
he's the final boss, and then it just keeps going. It's classic.
he's like, I'm
Well,
going to
you kind of
space.
should see it coming though, because you fight him a couple times, and he's usually not too tough.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I thought there would be like a second phase to that guy, but instead it's
Mhm.
just a different guy entirely. And they go to space, and then you're like, all right, we're going to space. It has one of those endings that just like escalates to like extreme levels
It,
really quickly. Like,
it
and I,
definitely
I
goes
I
all over
enjoy
the
that.
place. It's almost like they just like kept coming up with ideas. They're like, okay, well, we could stop the game here, but why don't we go to space? Okay, let's
Well, and it's
just
great that
adding on.
they bring back all the villains for that last stage, and you're like, oh, I'm gonna have to fight all the bosses again. Oh man, and then you get into like that first fight, and you're like, oh no, these are the same guys, but they all have like different weapons. These are all brand new boss fights.
Yep. Yeah. I
So
love the creativity of that whole gauntlet where you're watching it through like the monitoring screen, and you can
yeah,
see them all kind of
Yeah,
hanging out down there,
and you
like
see
taking
each
their
one
turn.
leave in turn to go
You're
fight
like,
you
oh,
next.
all right, I will be fighting this guy.
Is that a big monitor? I thought it was just a big window, and I was wondering why they could see
I
us.
think even more so than that, though, I really love Black's Dice Palace and the board game dice roll mechanic where you have a different fight based on the space you land on. There's a lot of fun ones there, and some of them are just ridiculously easy. Some of them are actually pretty hard, but that is probably my favorite level in the game.
It's so different.
yeah. It's like if I mean if you played that one first, you would definitely be like, once you moved on to the next one, be like, this is not anything like what I just got done playing.
Well, and
Yeah.
for you Cuphead fans, this is that's a big shout out to it. The King Dice's level in Cuphead has the same whole mechanic with a board that even has a go back to start space at the end of it,
The
right before the
worst
end.
space.
And there's
It's a
even a
little
boss
unfair.
there that imitates Melon Bread, the easiest boss on that board, who has appeared in a number of other treasure games. The weird face thing made of 3D triangles.
Oh yeah,
He has
Yeah.
only one attack and it does like no
kind of
damage.
horrifying.
I forgot about him. Yeah, that was a weird one. They really liked to get weird with the 3D shapes. You have that whole boss fight with this like guy made of spheres that's like running on a
Yeah,
treadmill,
bravo,
and then
man.
Yeah.
I just remember the room is like spinning in a circle, and he's like running along the side of it to keep fighting you. It is so funny.
It's again, it's a crazy it's almost a mess, like all the different things that they throw in this game, but it's just crazy how they pull it all off and bring it all into one, one cartridge and give it to
Hmm.
you, and it's just almost perfect. And now that I think we've pretty much tackled the experiences, and really got into a lot of what we're gonna get into next. But we'll go ahead and get into the general game discussion and talk a little bit about development and story and things of that nature. So go ahead and head that way. This is the debut game of Treasure, released on September 10th of 1993 on the Sega Genesis.
What a debut! You know, like this is your first.
Oh,
Like, let's come out the gate just swinging.
yeah. I mean, they had a good pedigree that put them in this position. So, I mean, that's
Yeah,
kind of
if
how
you're
you
gonna
get it.
quit Konami, coming from Castlevania and Contra, you better have a good game to make as a reason
Oh,
for
yeah.
doing that.
Yeah, yeah, true.
And
True.
as Sam nicely added in the notes, because I forgot to, the Treasure was actually developing Ronald McDonald Treasureland at the exact same time as this game. But kind of delayed the release of that game in order for Gunstar to be their debut release, because they were very high on wanting to have an original IP as their first game, because that's basically the reason why they ended up leaving Konami.
Yeah, well, specifically, they didn't want to make too many sequels.
Yeah,
which was the big thing at Konami, because Konami was on fire with some of their big series at the time.
Yeah, and I mean they were just kind of riding the coattails of those original games that they put out, and they just started churning out all these sequels. That's why we have so many Castlevania games, just boom, 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 and Ninja Turtles were the same way. Contra was starting to get that way, and all the Konami stuff was just they were just rehashing the original idea over and over again at that time, and it was selling like crazy. Like everybody was buying Konami's games. But these guys in 1991 got tired of it, and they pitched an original IP to the board at Konami, and they were told no. They were also told that this game would fail and would not make a good game at all. So instead of putting their tail between their legs, they left Konami and started their own studio.
And it's interesting too, because I think part of the reason they wanted to make games for the Genesis was just to separate themselves even further, because I think everybody on that team had made Super Nintendo games prior.
Yeah, and the Genesis was like the new fire, like it had come out and it was promoted as being a lot more powerful. I think they wanted to make sure that the game that they wanted to make could be made in the way they wanted it to, and I think the Genesis was kind of their answer to being able to do that. Which, I mean, there's definitely, as far as processing power, the Genesis was definitely a more powerful console. It does have some other minor setbacks. The sound is a little crunchier. Like it's got some things going on, but definitely this game runs nice and smooth. All the controls are just like spot on. There's never any time where you feel like you're out of control playing it. Everything sticks, so it's really well put together on the Sega Genesis. But this team would go on and form the new studio named Treasure, as we've been talking about. This game would take 9 months to develop, which is not very long for that time period. Games usually had quite a bit longer dev cycles. I mean, nothing like what they are today, where it's like 5 years, but definitely more than 9 months, especially to get a game like they produced out. 9 months is pretty quick. And according to what I was reading, it almost missed the U.S. market if it wasn't for one out of the 12 board members at Sega of America decided that he saw something interesting there and decided to push it. And so yeah, we almost didn't even get Gunstar over here, which is pretty crazy. For as much naysaying as there was against this game, Konami didn't want to do anything with it, and then Sega almost passed on it. I mean, it's just a banger of a game to have all these doubters. They must have not seen what the final product was even close to being,
Yeah, I mean, do they even try it at all?
Maybe they were just really intent on keeping these guys working on whatever else they'd wanted them to work on, I guess. Get blinded by their priorities. We don't want you doing this. We want you making the next Contra.
Yeah, I mean, that would make sense with Konami, but like Sega, like you're this new dev team. You came from, a nice pedigree of making these same types of games with Konami, and then nobody wanted anything to do with your game is just insane to me.
Yeah, and yet you give them the McDonald's game. Like, oh yeah, yes. That'll be great. Which, to be fair, Ronald McDonald Treasure Land is way better than it has any right to be, but
it's still not Gunstar.
It's a weird that's a weird headspace to be in when you're like, yeah, we don't want this awesome run and gun game with crazy bosses. We want the McDonald's game.
Yeah, I mean,
that's what we want you making.
No offense to the Ronald McDonald Treasure Land, but I feel like it'd be kind of a bummer to be on that team instead of the Gunstar Heroes team.
Yeah, and from the sounds of it, the Gunstar team was actually a smaller, more dedicated team. I think they said it was like 6 out of the 14 uh, developers there were working on Gunstar. So like the majority of the resources seem to be going into the McDonald's game, which is insane. Like, but it was a passion project for the
Yeah, well,
developers.
a lot of the reason they picked up that McDonald's game, as I understand it, is because Sega was like, okay, we'll publish your passion project if you can make this game McDonald's wants us to make.
Yeah, I mean, it was money.
Yeah,
It was money at a time where they were starting up. I'm sure they probably needed some money at that time. And then, of course, we haven't really talked about it much, but the soundtrack to this game is equally as amazing as the gameplay. Lots going on. It features compositions by the resident maestro Norio Hanazawa. Is that how you say that? I'm horrible with names.
sounds good to me.
Yes.
Yeah,
pretty good.
and
I usually
then
just say the same name like 4 different ways, and then hopefully one of them's right. Hanazawa.
that's kind of what I do. That
Hanazawa.
Hanazawa sounds pretty good to me.
Norio H.
Yes, Mr. H did a fantastic job with the soundtrack on this game. There's not a dud on it. Like every piece of music just fits right in with what you're playing, and it's really well done.
Yeah, agreed.
And
it's one of those types of games where the soundtrack can make a huge difference. If the soundtrack is too repetitive and not it doesn't engage you into what you're doing, like you can't like throw in say like some piano trills just
yeah.
hope this isn't Minecraft.
Mm-hmm.
This isn't a minimalist soundtrack type game. You need something that's going to be like a banger of a music piece, and I think
something with
it's
as much energy as the rest of the game.
Exactly.
And
they hit it on the nose. Like it fits perfectly. As mentioned before, this game had a really tough time getting going. Sega, just kind of agreed to it. Based on, hey, go make this other game, and we'll work with you on this other one. But basically made it to where it had a very small print run in the U.S. It actually even had a smaller print run in Japan, I believe, and then turned out to be a way even bigger success there than it was here. And they really had to like crank these games out later because it was selling so well, and nobody thought it would. So it actually was a huge success, enough to where Treasure went on to become a very renowned studio in their own right, and gave us all kinds of good classic games that we all love today. But also, just they they kind of got that they kind of got shoved in these guys' faces, like, hey, you guys told us we couldn't do this, and this game is going to suck, but it actually was really good, and everybody likes it. So it's kind of a good story there too.
Yeah, I'm seeing sales for it. Looks like, and I don't know when this was last tracked, but out on the Wikipedia article for it, they shipped 70,000 copies in Japan and 200,000 overseas. So 270,000 copies.
Yeah, which, I mean, in today's standards, it doesn't sound like a whole lot, but 1991 on the Sega Genesis is pretty
compared
good.
to like to the top selling games on the Sega Genesis. I mean, like these are,
they weren't pack-ins.
yeah, exactly. So like, we're talking like, I'm looking on here, games like Mortal Kombat 3 sold 1.02 million. And so for a brand new IP by a brand new studio selling more than a quarter of a million, which is more than a quarter of what Mortal Kombat 3 sold. I mean, I feel like that's pretty impressive for given it, and they were impressed by it. Like you mentioned, they were surprised how well it was selling. but you play the game and like of course it's going to sell well. It's just condensed pure fun. It has that that Contra feel, but it's way more inviting, in my opinion. Like Contra feels like it's targeting an older audience, where Gunstar might be a little bit more inviting to all ages. Not saying it's like an easy game for babies, like Sam was saying earlier, but
compared to Alien Soldier.
Compared to Alien Soldier, maybe.
But like the art direction, the character style. I mean, this was
like it almost feels like a Saturday morning cartoon kind of vibe, with the character designs.
It feels right at home on a system with Sonic the Hedgehog, which is like very much a mascot platforming game, and the characters are very cartoony.
Yeah, the sprite work is awesome too. Like they did a really good job with sprites on this game. They're almost just like the perfect size. The bosses are amazing. Like put together, like how many different sprites they had to do for these bosses is insane. All the moving components to them, like there's a ton of work there. Every single boss seems to kind of like just transform and move so like crazy, like they're just all over the place all the time.
Well, and again, 7 Force transforms between 7 different forms in real time.
Yeah.
No loading screens, nothing.
Yeah, what's the boss on the, for lack of better terms, like the minecart, like the roller level?
Yeah, that's 7 Force at the end. At the end of it, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I thought at the end of it. Yeah, but yeah, it's just insane how many different.
I mean, it has a minecart level. Every good game has a minecart level.
Mm-hmm.
It does. It's just weird though, because it's like you have roller skates on your knees and your elbows, and you're like crouched down shooting.
It's kind of a weird version of a minecart level, but yeah.
It is, but it works. He's like, I have these special like skates for you or whatever.
I just remember in these boss fights, because if you die, you can come back with your with half of the health that the other player has. You essentially take half of their health, and I remember it would get down to a point where I would be taking 1 health from Micah, and both of us would have 1 health.
Yeah, I mean, you get to a point where everything's going to one-shot you, so what's the harm of having half of that health?
Yeah, might as well come back. Yeah. Oh, what a mechanic.
You gotta love those types of games.
I love couch co-op, and this game just really is a great couch co-op game. It really is. And what was really fun is being able to play it with the Sega Genesis online app. We were able to play remotely, so have those save states. It's really nice. Every nice quality of life features to be able to play that couch co-op from different couches.
Yeah, couch co-op's still a couch co-op if you're playing from 2 different couches. You guys are both on couches.
It's true.
It works.
But what if you're in an armchair?
Yeah, mine's more like a sofa armchair thing.
Yeah, couch is a couch.
It's just a mini couch.
Mini couch. So yeah, that's pretty much the development. There's quite a bit there this time. It's pretty neat to kind of look into all the happenings and how this game came to be. So next up, we'll talk a little bit about the story. Not like a huge story, and I did grab the story for the US game. Apparently a lot of folks don't like this story as much, but I don't know, it seemed like the appropriate, since we're playing the U.S. version of the game.
Wait, is it a different story in Japan? Like an entirely different story?
It's definitely different.
Oh,
It's not-
apparently we can't get the villain's name right, so there's always
Yeah.
that.
But yeah. So I just for if you are interested, you do want to read the Japanese story, just go to find it on a wiki page. It's out there. I just know that there was like lots of argument between communities that I found where like, no, this is a story. No, this is a story. Apparently, the Japanese story ties into the sequel better than the U.S. story does. But basically, I'm just going to read this is what was in the manual, I believe. It says the Gunstar dynasty has been the protector of planet Gunstar 9, or G9, for generations. In his youth, Professor White Gunstar defeated Gold and Silver, a destructive android that traveled millions of miles to suck G9 dry of all of its resources. Professor White was able to extract the 4 famous mystical gems, the robot's power source, and imprisoned it on one of G9's moons. Years later, a new menace rises. Colonel Red, a vicious dictator, found out that the Gunstars knew the location of the mystical gems. One day, Colonel Red kidnapped Gunstar Twins' older brother, Green, and used a mind control device to make Green obey his orders. With Green's help, Colonel Red amassed all 4 mystical gems and has turned Gunstar 9's peaceful worker droids into deadly menaces, and is now preparing to leave for Gunstar 9's moon to reactivate Gold and Silver. So that's kind of what you're doing through the whole game, is trying to get the gems, and then leads to the boss rush at the end of the gauntlet to the moon. And I threw a little bit about, because we've been talking about a lot of these people, so I went ahead and threw some of the characters and who they are. You have Gunstar Red and Blue, who are the playable characters, the twin brothers who protect the planet. Gunstar Yellow is the navigator and sister of the Gunstars. She gives you the briefings on the levels at the beginning.
That's your sister?
That's your sister.
Star Wars moment right there.
Yeah.
For me.
Mm-hmm.
You
You
have
have,
a sister.
Dr. Brown. He
Great Scott.
deactivated Gold. Yeah, Dr. Brown. Yeah, Doc Brown. He's the one that deactivated the Gold and Silver in the past, but is too old to do so again. So instead, he becomes Red and Blue's mentor. So he's kind of like the Obi-Wan of the of the game. And then you have Gunstar Green, who is the mind-controlled brother of the twins, who now works for the Empire. This sounds a lot like Star Wars. He controls the giant shape-shifting mech, the Seven Force. And then we have General Gray, who is the leader of the Empire, who seeks to awaken the Gold and Silver and reshape the planet to his evil desires.
Also known as Colonel Red, apparently.
Yes, Colonel Red. Oh yeah, I did have the. So these are I guess these characters are from the Japanese version.
This is Dr. Brown, Gunstar White.
Oh, that's a
Professor
yeah. I
White.
didn't
That's what I
catch
was
that
wondering.
one.
Yes.
Is Professor
Yep.
White also Dr. Brown?
Yes, those are one and the same. And then you have Smash Daisaku, which is Gray's red-suited subordinate. He appears throughout the game to oppose Red and Blue.
Oh,
Yeah, that's the guy who's usually a mid boss.
Yep. And then you have
He
Pink,
He like
Orange,
flies
and Black.
around on the jetpack and stuff.
Yes, he's very annoying.
He has a weird, annoying laugh. Sounds
Yep.
like he's coughing.
I think that's just the sound chip.
Yeah, I was wondering if that just
Yeah.
sound limitations.
Well, it's definitely supposed to be a laugh, but it's
Yeah.
maybe not the most convincing one.
And then, like I said, you have Pink, Orange, and Black, who are the high-ranking Empire commanders who appear as stage bosses. And that's who you will fight to get your mystical gems. So yeah, there's not a whole lot of story to the game, but it definitely has all the elements of a like a Star Wars knockoff. It seems like, as we've been reading through here.
I mean, and each of these characters has a very distinct and unique design.
Yeah.
I'd say it's sort of similar to Mega Man in that regard. It just feels like everything has a very unique, distinct feature, or like, and in this game, it's their color that they're associated with.
Yeah, the colors, especially paired with the fact that it's kind of got some of them have like ranks too. It reminds me of Dragon Ball, actually, the Red
Yeah,
Ribbon Army.
it does. It's kind of goofy in that aspect too, like um, just the encounters you have with them and some of the dialogue. It definitely has that same feel like from that time period.
Yeah, yeah. I
Yeah,
guess it
definitely
does.
everything is
It
color
does.
coordinated.
It does feel very Dragon Ball. Like even like the like slightly sci-fi, but not really sci-fi. This is very Dragon Ball.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
This is probably an
sci-fi, but
influence, I'd say.
oh yeah, it has to be. The only thing it doesn't
Spiky
have is
spiky
like the
hair.
weird dinosaurs in it.
What's the okay? So what are the little characters? The like little guys that are on the
Oh, and
stages.
in Pink stage, I don't know. They're just innocent civilians, I
I guess,
guess.
yeah, because it
And
doesn't
why are they
really.
so small?
Maybe the Gunstars are just so big.
I was gonna say, are the Gunstars actually like just humongous giant
Giant
people?
people. They
Maybe
could
that's
be, or
another
maybe it's,
planet. Maybe they're the natives of some kind of tiny planet. I don't know.
They did mention in
I think
the
it gets mentioned in
summary
the intro to the stage.
that it's like
it could even be the perspective that they're just trying to portray for the level, like the view.
they might be Gunstar 9's worker droids.
That
It
could
said
be,
it
yeah.
turned Gunstar 9's peaceful worker droids into deadly menaces. So maybe they're just tiny robots.
Could be.
I don't know. I don't
Well,
know. I thought it was interesting that they've got like tiny little people that are
Yeah,
just everywhere.
they're just kind of there.
I mean, there's lots of things in the stages that are really, go unexplained. I'm sure there's people that try to put story to it. If you read deep enough into internet lore, I'm sure somebody's put it all together by now. But yeah, that's kind of the story and the rundown of all the characters of the game. It's all there. So now we'll get into talking some more about the gameplay. I know we've talked a little bit about some of this in the first section of the show, but we'll do a deep dive and kind of talk about all the things gameplay wise as we go. So as we've mentioned, this is a side-scrolling shooter. Very obviously, like as soon as you fire it up, we talked a little bit about the fixed and free. Oh, actually, we fully explained fixed and free aiming. You can only choose one or the other at the beginning of your playthrough, and you're stuck with it. So, just wanted to throw that in there. The 4 main weapons that could be combined to create a total of 14 weapons are Force, Lightning, Chaser, and Flame. We did talk a little bit about Force, Chaser, and Flame. Did any of you guys care for the Lightning? It was kind of like
I didn't like
biggest.
lightning much.
Yeah,
I
I
mean,
wasn't a big fan.
its primary trait is that it pierces through enemies.
Yeah, so you can
Um,
hit multiple.
but the thing is, since the most challenging parts of the game are the boss battles, where that
Where
doesn't
there's
matter,
one. Yeah,
it's just not as useful.
True.
Every once in a while, I do lightning flame because then you get kind of like a lightsaber looking thing almost. Seems to
Yeah.
just do
Oh
a
yeah,
lot of
that's when
damage.
it basically just shoots out. Yeah, because flame's all about the short range. It just becomes like a beam that
Yep.
only
Yeah,
goes out a little bit in front of you.
which like
Uh,
melts bosses, but also very dangerous to use.
yeah. The Lightning Chasers was probably my favorite out of all the Lightning But again, it's also anything with chaser just kind of makes the game kind of easy mode.
I felt like double chasers. Um, you'd think like, oh, that's not that. There's just not much variety there, but
Yeah,
it felt like you did a lot more damage with double chaser versus something else, and
yeah.
it was really fast, like very fast chasing.
Something like I kind of wish I would have looked a little deeper into to see if I could find a breakdown of the damage per weapon type and combinations. I bet it's out there somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
But definitely it seems like anything combined with the flame does some pretty heavy damage. Like I said, the lightning by itself just seemed kind of like it wasn't doing a whole lot. You'd have to have a whole screen full of enemies to really take advantage of it. But it's a neat concept, and it's something that I can't think of any other games that were doing this before, like in this exact same way. Like I know with Contra, you can pick up upgrades to your weapons, but I don't know if there was any like combos where you
Yeah, I
could
mean, the
combine.
main one that comes to mind for me is Kirby 64, but that was quite a bit later.
Oh yeah, and it's a little bit different than this. Um,
Yeah.
Different
Yeah,
type of
it
game in
was like
general.
Gradius kind of, but
Yeah, I
not
mean, there's a
really.
lot of
Yeah,
shoot 'em ups where
shoot
you
'em ups.
can basically layer different weapons, where you'll basically just start firing all of your
Yeah,
weapons at the same time.
but
Yeah, they don't really
this is
combine like
different.
this.
Yeah, yeah, this is definitely different, and I love that mechanic. I really like that. It would be cool to see um what a modern Gunstar Heroes would look like. I sort of imagine Micah. I don't know. You can jump in what you think here. I sort of imagine like Risk of Rain 2, which is
Yeah,
very has like a similar vibe with that chaos and then the
collection
power
of
up shooters.
power ups that you
Yep.
can.
So like there you go. Treasure wants to get back in action with Gunstar Heroes. Free idea right there.
Yeah, yeah. Risk of Rain is probably a good light comparison. Like it's a totally different type of game, but it's definitely it's a
Mm-hmm.
shooter that has the same kind of feel where you can just upgrade things and
Another one of
combine.
Treasure's games that does have something similar-ish going on is Bangayo. That does have a
Yeah,
mechanic where you basically choose two weapons and you can choose to fuse them into one weapon or use them individually as needed on the fly.
yeah, that is true, and that would come later as well.
Yeah, I'm
Um,
a big fan of those of that type of mechanic. Another game that like pops into my mind that you can do those sort of like combining. You guys mentioned Kirby 64. They did that in other Kirby games as well. Kid Icarus. It's just a Sakurai thing, I guess. Like let's combine weapons.
it could be,
Uh,
yeah.
but in Kid Icarus Uprising, you could
Yep.
blend
Mhm.
weapons and get different power ups that way. It's fun to have the experimentation. I think that's one of the fun parts about this game. I'm like once you find your build, you kind of stick with it, but that initial experimenting with, and
Yeah, figuring out.
if there were just a few more options of power ups, like there would be quite a bit you could do with of different combos.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, I never pass
Oh,
up an opportunity to talk about a Golden Sun, but you could actually do
Mm.
that sort of thing in that game as well with the Elemental Jin.
you
If you
could.
gave your people different combinations, they'd have different psi energy attacks and moves.
I
This
was
is
gonna
true.
say I have one that came to mind that is like exactly the same, and that is Lovers in a Dangerous Space Time. It's like
Oh yeah,
it is almost identical in that you have
Yeah,
the double gem combos that change what the projectile does.
yeah, it is. I mean, it's a different type of game totally, but that part of the combat element is pretty much exactly the same. Well, and as you were saying with Kirby 64, like with that one, you can combine your abilities. I think that's the only one where you can do that with the abilities themselves. Now I know like uh, Dreamland 2 and 3, where you have the animals, you can combine the animal
There's the
ability
animal
with your
buddies
powers. But I don't think you can
have their own
combine
version of the
power
power.
ups.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, and like Star Allies had a sort of combo move thing that you could do with either
two
a
players.
AI helper or two
Yeah,
players. You know,
I don't remember which game it is, but one of the DS ones allows you to um, combine power ups. The power ups sit on the second screen in his stomach, and you like can mix them together to make him
oh
bigger.
yeah, that's right. That's Mass Attack, right?
Is it Mass Attack? Squeak
Mass
Squad,
Attack.
maybe? That's
Or was it Squeak
Mass
Squad?
Attack's a very different type of Kirby game. I don't think
I
there
think
are
it's I think
copy
it's
abilities in it.
I think
No,
Squeak
you're
The way I
right.
Squad.
It
And
is
remember it.
Squeak Squad.
now that I am saying this and my memory is coming back, I think it makes a random new one. Not, but
Yes, you
maybe
generate
it's
one.
yeah. Maybe it is. Maybe it is
It's
controlled
also
by
a
what you mix.
it's also a cool rendering of Kirby's stomach on the bottom screen there.
Yeah. 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 I forgot about that.
Oh,
I
we're gonna have to have a Kirby episode here soon too. I'm itching for talk
I
about some
just
Kirby.
I just really really like this game. And once we finished it, Mike and I like instantly I was like, "Where's the sequel to this game? Like, why is there not another game? Because this is so fun. This is a fantastic game." Um, and there is sequels to this, or a sequel. I
On the
think there's only
GBA.
one,
Yep.
Yep.
but that's not super accessible, unfortunately.
No, and it's like $70 or $80.
And from what I've seen, it might not be as well received. Like it's not bad, but it's not doesn't quite live up.
Yeah, I mean it's hard to hold up to the original, but and I think it also has its camps. There's some people that probably like it slightly better, and some
Mm.
people that don't. But yeah, that's the weapons. It's definitely a neat little mechanic to
Sorry,
the
I
game.
totally went on a tangent there with the
Oh no, you're fine.
with
This
the
show's all
power.
about tangents. We end up all over the place, and it's okay. I don't
Welcome
mind at
to
all.
On Topic.
Yes, I
Off
should have
topic
called it
retro.
off topic retro, but
Off
on
topic.
topic just came first. So
Welcome to Off Topic Retro. Tonight we're going to talk about why Sonic is terrible.
yes, and as I mentioned in the first episode, I kind of pulled a Square Enix, and this was originally just Project on Topic Retro because I didn't have a name, but I knew I wanted to do a topical retro show, so that's where I landed. And I was like, just drop the project off. Let's just do this.
That's hilarious. Hey, works
Uh,
for Square Enix, you know.
yeah, why not? It seems to be holding up pretty good here. Uh, so we also mentioned you have some sliding and jump attacks. Enemies can be thrown.
Micah's favorite.
Yes,
I swear, like the end
blast.
by Micah was doing that that jump pile driver move like
Yes,
over and over and over.
The best
So
is when you throw orange off the plane. It's one of the best ways to fight them.
I forgot you could do that. Orange was a great character.
Plus, I think one of the bosses throws like, or probably a mini boss, throws these like bombs at you. I'm pretty sure, and you can like
Oh, yeah.
snag those
Mhm.
out of the air.
Yep.
I think
Throw 'em
we
back.
figured out you could do that by accident.
There's
Just
a
about
lot
to
of this
get
game
hit
you
and
figure out by
some
accident.
panic button pressing and chucked a bomb.
Yeah, so they throw the bomb, and you're like, no, 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 and then you pick it up. It's awesome. Yeah, this game's also kind of unique for its health being shown in numbers instead of having like a health bar.
Yeah, usually you only get that in RPGs.
Yeah, it was kind of a different deal in it, but it works really well here, as you can kind of see exactly how much health you're losing per
And
attack.
part of the benefit of that too is you can actually, if you go without getting hit at all, and you pick up a health, you can actually go above your starting health.
Yep.
Too.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah, there's no limitations to a bar. You know, have an end number. But yeah, it's definitely different for this time period. You definitely seen health bars way more often for games like this. And as we mentioned, if you die, you can choose to continue at the start of the level as many times as you want. It's unlimited, which is very nice uh, and very generous for this time period of games. Usually, like at this time, you'd be playing games and you'd be hitting that game over screen.
Yep.
I guess it's the benefit of this game not being a port of an arcade game. Uh, it was designed and made for the Sega Genesis on console, so they didn't have to worry about creating a game that was designed to eat your quarters.
Well,
did get-
I mean, on the
It
one
did get
hand,
made
yes,
into an arcade. It did
but
get made into an arcade.
Yeah,
an arcade port, in some ways, is easier to make accessible because then you can just make it, the press start to put another quarter in, because at that point it doesn't have to eat your quarter. Like, there's a pretty easy way to port that in a way that it doesn't become hard at all. The problem there is it becomes too easy because in arcades, usually you put another quarter in, you can start over immediately where you died. You could literally just wear that super tough boss down if you want to spend the money.
Pay to
And
win. The original pay
if
to
you're
win.
playing the
Original,
console
yeah.
sport, you already spent your money. So you just press start every time you die.
I'm sure if they had figured out how to attach quarters to the Sega Genesis and Nintendo, they would have done it.
I mean, I guess that's why they figured they had you, because you were paying so much for a game.
Yeah.
Even some like, I mean, we complain nowadays about the price of games, but like during this time period, you might have an $80 game. Like, games didn't have a set price. There were some Super
those
Nintendo games that released
RPGs
were like $100 in Super Nintendo era.
Those games with special chips, man.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, everyone now is like, I'm not paying $70 for a PS5 game. That's ludicrous. It's like, we were doing that 30 years ago. What are you talking about? If you wanted to play Chrono Trigger when it released, you were paying $75-$80. It was just how it was. Same way with Earthbound. It was an expensive game because it came packed in with the player's guide and everything. It was a big box game.
Yep.
So a lot of these games didn't get picked up until they went in the clearance bins. And then I kicked myself because I passed up on them at that time.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, Chrono Trigger. Who ever heard of this game? This is going to be junk. Could have got it for like $10 when I was a kid.
I don't know. It's like if I could go back, I'd just buy 2 of everything.
We also didn't have any money though, because we
Or
were
ask
kids.
ask my mom to buy 2 of everything. Like,
Well,
If I
Mom,
could
please
go
buy
back
2.
and child labor laws didn't exist, I'd get a
Yeah.
job and buy 2 of every video game.
you wouldn't have to be working now.
I mean, if I was
Yeah,
going to
no.
go back in time, I'd bring some money with me, if at all possible.
Oh, yeah, inflation works in your favor then.
You don't even have to take any money with you. You just take you do the Back to the Future, and you just bet on things that you know are going to happen.
Yeah.
Win your own
Yeah.
money while you're there. But all right,
There is no money in Gunstar Heroes. Just throw
No
it
money.
Tie
No
it
money.
back.
Just 4 mystical gems, and that's what it takes to complete the game. You get the gems, and you head on to fight the last boss in the last
Yeah,
level.
Well, there's
You grab the gems.
Don't you
you
get the gems
a
power
couple
up,
other
the
stages
gems?
in between.
Well,
You
You get the
but-
gems, and then Yellow gets kidnapped.
You defeat Dr.
And then there's like the
Eggman.
space shooter level.
Dr.
And then there's the
Eggman.
final level.
wrong game, wrong gems.
So
Yeah.
So
Those
I
are
gotta have a little
chaos
poll
emeralds,
here.
they're not
Do you-
gems.
do y'all call him Dr. Robotnik or Dr. Eggman?
When I was growing up, it was always Dr. Robotnik. I don't think Eggman came around until the cartoon.
Yes, I always think of him as Dr. Robotnik.
Yeah, I watched the cartoon as a kid.
That
so
might
Eggman.
be because of his mean beam
There's-
machine.
Yeah, I was gonna say there's also a video game called Doctor Robotics, Mean Bean Machine. It's not Mr. Egg or Dr. Eggman's. Which I don't know. Is
You know,
that a? I don't know if it's a Japanese deal either, where he's called something different over there.
I don't know anything about Sonic, man.
I don't either.
Why would I?
I mean, I didn't know if it was like a Bowser Koopa type situation.
I think it might be, but I don't know. I don't know. But that doesn't have anything to do with Gunstar Heroes, so
It doesn't. Why do we
wrong
keep going back to
episode.
Sonic? Dang you, Micah.
Hey, whoa.
Sonic
Andross
it
is
up.
the one here that brought it up, just to clarify.
Gunstar Heroes
think he's
does
brought
have
it up
Doc
every time.
Brown in it, though.
It does
true.
have
And
Doc
we were
Brown.
talking about going back to back
We
in
did. We
time.
tied it
Doc
all-
Brown. It's coming full circle, everybody.
It is. We've done a 360 now. We're good.
It's pretty heavy stuff.
And I usually have some fun facts thrown in here, but I couldn't really find a whole lot worth throwing in. And then all the facts that Sam threw in here, I think he's already talked about. So
Well, can I throw in my head canon here that Orange from Gunstar Heroes is actually just Guile from Street Fighter?
What? Where's his hair, though?
I mean, can't render
Doesn't
that
have
out with all
nearly
the
enough
stuff on
hair.
screen.
yeah, they ran out of pixels. They couldn't do
They ran out
that.
of
It's
pixels.
Guile after he aged. His hair fell
Yeah,
out.
yep, exactly. This is
And
Guile
in
in
his
the
despair, he turned to a life of crime.
It's old man.
future. No,
old
he's
man
still
Guile.
working for the military. The military's just on the wrong side.
He's working for the Empire.
The Empire. Yep.
He got turned to the dark side, man.
I guess
Yeah.
so.
I don't know. It's just like that stereotypical muscular American general. Like that's
He does. There's definitely the connection there. And I mean, this would be, let's see, 90.
also Orange
93.
is like a super physical fighter too. Like
Yeah,
where everybody else does use
Yeah,
guns.
I mean, everybody else is usually like piloting some robot to fight you, and Orange just hops out of a plane and tries to chuck you off of it.
Flexing
Yeah,
all the
it's
time.
Rides around the
guns.
or no, it's like and rides around the propellers.
It's kind of like Indiana Jones scene with the airplane, but ends in a different way.
A little less graphic.
Yeah,
Big
Also
guy
an
comes
airplane,
out.
just like Sonic. It all comes back to Sonic.
Yes, the biplane.
Why were there so many biplanes and gems on the Genesis? What's going on here?
It was a
they were stuck in a rut.
for the games. You have to have these if you want to make a game for the Genesis. You have to have all these things in it, or we will say no.
Does Ronald McDonald's
Treasure
Journey to
Land.
Treasure Island have gems in it? Now I'm curious. Hey, sorry, totally taking us off track again.
Oh no, you're good. Yeah, so that's what I have for Gunstar Heroes. Do you guys have any last thoughts or anything that we missed that you want to bring up?
If you haven't played Gunstar Heroes, what are you doing, man? Go
Yeah, I mean, it's
find a
wrong with you?
friend and play through it.
Let's see. Is Gunstar Heroes also on the Genesis collection?
Yes.
Okay, so because I do realize that we all were playing it on the NSO app, which that it is part of the expansion pack, which is $50 for a
an
single
individual.
Yeah, for an individual.
I
Or like
believe so.
$7 if you have a full
If you
family
don't
plan.
have the expansion pack and you still want to play this game, the cheapest option probably is to buy the Genesis collection that goes on sale quite often for the Switch. And I think you can probably get this game on Steam for probably like $5.
Yeah. I mean, technically, if you still have a way to add money to your eShop account, which if you have a Switch and you sync it, you can. It's the 3D version on 3DS is still available too.
Oh,
Only
that
and
would
for
probably
a
look
little bit
really good.
longer.
Yeah, it'd probably look
It
really
looks
good
like
too.
you can actually get it for
Excuse me.
99
It's
cents
probably
on
the
Steam.
definitive way to play it, actually.
Well, other than it's kind of hard to do couch co-op with that version. I
Yeah, I
believe you
mean, if you're
can,
playing
but
it,
you'd need somebody else with the game.
if you're playing it solo, I mean, you have the ability to hit one of the triggers or the shoulder buttons to stop yourself while you're shooting, and the 3D looks really good. It's actually really well done. All those 3D Sega games on the 3DS are fantastic. They did a really good
Yeah.
job.
And I mean, it's $5.99, so it's not going
Yeah.
to break the bank.
Anyway, well, I was just getting that the NSO app is probably not the cheapest route to go, but if you have it already, go play it.
Yeah. Unfortunately, the original is pretty pricey.
Yeah, I think it's sitting around like $80 for a loose copy right now.
$75.97 loose, according to price charting.
That was pretty dang close. Okay. Yeah, find a way to go play this game. Like I said,
For sure.
I can't guarantee there's a Steam version, but there's probably a Steam version out there.
Oh, yeah,
if I had to
it's
guess.
$1.
Yeah, I mean so Steam still has their version of the Genesis Classics collection as well.
There you go.
It's technically a bundle of games listed individually, but they all use the same emulator. Actually, I don't know if you can buy them separate anymore. I think you can only buy the bundle. It actually has a couple games that weren't included in the Switch version.
Well, and knowing Steam, it probably goes on sale quite a bit as well.
Yeah.
So
the Switch NSO app is still getting updates. We did pretty recently get Sonic Spinball and
yes, not trying to
Shining
deter
Force
anybody
2.
from.
No, I mean, if you only
getting a
want to play
subscription.
Gunstar Heroes, there are better ways to get it.
There are
But if you
cheaper
have a
ways.
subscription
Cheaper ways,
Yeah.
yes.
and you've already paid for it, then
Go
you
play
can
it.
play it there.
I will say this is the only game that I've played through to completion on the the Sega Genesis period. Yeah,
You gotta play Echo the Dolphin
which
all the
I
way
didn't play
through
on the
then.
Sega Genesis, but on the app. And yeah, out of all the games on there, like this is by far my favorite in the collection. It is so good. I don't know if I really got that point across while talking about it here throughout the episode, but it's just like it is that good of a game. I do think everyone needs to give it a try. It's short enough that you can play through it and beat it. Yeah, I have. I mean, this is in one of my like what I consider one of the best games of all time, for sure.
Yeah,
very high recommendations for it.
absolutely.
Yeah, for sure.
Man, I really meant to before we got on to record this at some point over the last week. I really wanted to pop in the original game with the Game Genie to see what all kind of stuff I could find for that to break the game and just kind of look at it.
I forgot you have a Game Genie for the Genesis.
I have Game Genies for lots of things. And then I bought the
I have many a genie.
Yes, many of lamps at my place. And then I bought the game from Dan. Actually, he was getting rid of his copy, and I was like, well, I can't let this leave the circle. That way, if he wants it back one day, I can give it back to him. But it's definitely worth playing any way that you can play it. So definitely go find it. That being said, we'll go ahead and move into the outro. And I'll give Andrew and Micah a chance to plug their show that they do. It's just a tiny little Nintendo show that everybody needs to go listen to.
just the small little one.
Just a little one.
I don't know. Micah looks like he's frozen, so I might have to take the outro. This might be a tactical retreat on his part. But we are the Nintendo Pals, and we run a podcast and YouTube channel and streaming all under that banner. So just search Nintendo Pals. You'll find us. All things Nintendo. That's why we're here, is because this is on a Nintendo system now. But yeah, it's a fantastic show. I mean, I'm a little biased, but yeah, we talk about games we're playing, Nintendo news, and community submitted questions and topics, and just whatever the heck we want to talk about, Nintendo stuff. We have a lot of fun making it. It's a great community. Dat Fast and Third Strongest Mole are both there in our Discord, and we've had them on the show, and it's awesome.
You guys also give stuff away sometimes.
Sometimes we give away big things. We just gave away a Switch OLED because we had our 2-year anniversary. Did a big celebration for that. Yeah,
nice.
So it's super fun. Definitely if you like the guys at retrologic.games and you like this sort of content, but you want to hear it on just Nintendo, then
and new
Nintendo
stuff.
Pals. And new stuff, yes. Just new Nintendo. Then Nintendo Pals is your spot. I feel like we pair very well with retrologic and ontopicretro.
Yeah,
which
you guys...
we consider us like sort of like sister podcasts. We all started about the same time.
Brother podcasts.
Yeah.
And I mean, you guys do touch on some retro things. You guys have done some countdowns in rankings of like Zelda games and things of that nature. So you guys hit the spot every once in a while there.
And we just talk about almost every episode. We talk about Micah's love for Ocarina of Time.
And
so, I mean, you guys stream lawn mowing. Come on, what else is there?
Yes, we do.
And Sam,
I need a shorter plug. Sorry, everybody. That was like a 5-minute advertisement for Nintendo Pals.
Oh no, there's
Nintendo
no
Pals.
Time
2
limit.
longtime friends, 1 awesome podcast. Check us out. There you go.
There you go. Sam, you can advertise your exploits if you want to.
Right, so obviously I'm part of the Retrologic podcast, which occurs every other week. We have new episodes going up on Tuesdays, and but in addition to that, we have a lot of other cool content. The main things I do are write articles for the blog, which you can find at retrologic.games, as well as streaming on the Twitch channel, which is twitch.tv/retrologic.games. That is a games on the end of it. Don't miss that part. And I usually post what I'm when I'm streaming on Twitter. So if you follow me on Twitter, that is at Mole3rd, third strongest mole on Twitter. Still my old handle. Holding on to that one for as long as I can. Yeah, and so
I've been Mother 3.
Yep, I've been working through Mother 3 on Mondays, Mother 3 Mondays. Got through the end of Chapter 3 this last week, so nearing about the halfway-ish point of the game. Not quite halfway yet, though. And Tuesdays, I stream just kind of whatever. This last Tuesday was Hamtaro, Ham Hams Unite. So definitely a lot of retro stuff. Nintendo, PlayStation, Sega, pretty much anything I have, I might stream. And I do like to kind of spotlight some of the more obscure stuff. So if you're interested in that, then check it out.
What about Magnavox Odyssey? You stream that?
I do not have a Magnavox Odyssey.
just checking.
Unfortunately, streaming unusual platforms is a lot more difficult because you need a way to get that through a capture card or something.
Oh man, yeah, that's a mess. That's why I don't do any Atari. Like I mean, I guess you could do most of Atari's games on collections by now. They're pretty much out there, but the only person I know that streams things of that nature is probably Jesse Waldeck. He's all he likes to stream in television, and I think he just got his Famicom disk system up that he's been doing some streams with. But yeah, that's just a little bit harder to get running. So I usually have the next show's game to announce, but I haven't selected it yet, and I kind of threw a invite for anybody that wants to come on and talk about a passion game that they have to do so. I haven't had any takers yet. I was kind of hoping that I would have somebody before we recorded tonight, but if I don't get anybody that wants to, I'll promptly pick the next game, and we'll move forward, and I'll announce it in all places that I can to get the word out, and we'll see where it goes from there. If I pick it, it will probably be something that is somewhat available so that people can share their experiences. I can't promise anything if somebody does throw down and give me a game to talk about, but we'll just have to see what it is. It's kind of a surprise show. So
you were talking about doing Kirby earlier in the show. You're like, got to do a Kirby episode sometime.
Yeah, there's so many episodes that I want to do, and not enough time since this is only every other week. It's about all I can allot these days. Every once in a while, I do some microsodes, get them out. But yeah, this has been On Topic Retro. Thanks for listening. It's a part of the Retrologic family of podcasts. If you'd like to send your personal experiences for the next show but don't have Discord, you can send them to ontopicretro@gmail.com. If you haven't joined the non-toxic, wonderful Retrologic Discord and you would like to, just visit retrologic.games for details on how to join for free. I also throw a link in each episode's description so that you can find it in there as well. Along with, I think I've been putting in the hyperlink for the website as well for retrologic.games. So you should be able to go to any of those things and listen to more podcasts like this on retro things like music and games. We need a retro TV show or movie podcast at some point too. I think that's the only thing we're really missing from our network here. Maybe Sam can do something like that.
Oh, I don't know if I'm that much of a film buff.
Oh, I don't know. We have to try to fill
knowledgeable about a very narrow slice of film, probably, but
so there's somebody out there. We'll find somebody, but that just seems like the next logical step for a show that we're missing from our network here. But yeah, that's another thing for another time. This has been On Topic Retro, and that's it for this show. So thanks you guys for coming on one more time, and
thanks for having us. Be sure to send any
always a pleasure.
Any upset emails about the Sonic bashing done here tonight to Dan at retrologicgames.com.
There you go.
Or retrologic.games.
Yeah,
.games,
just go to .games and yell.
I gave him a fake email.
Actually, you can just curse at the heavens. That's fine too.
Just step on outside and be angry at the sky.
Shake your fist.
Touch some grass while you're out there.
No.
Might help you feel a little better.
There you go. Well, we'll have to say bye to Micah later since he's still frozen. But that's it for the show, and we'll see everyone else later. Bye now.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Now we have anonymous Aurochs,
Rock? Yeah, I can't even. I can't even try to
Hippo,
pronounce
Jackal, and two. It says we have total 7 viewers now.
Anonymous hippopotamus.
that. Oh, manatee.
Yes. Who are these people?
Yeah, I guess if you made the document completely public, it could be anybody. They're all
No,
leaving
I only
now.
made it. I didn't make it public. I made it available
Okay.
to those who have the link, which you guys
Well,
should
now
be
there's
the only.
just a dragon and a manatee.
Yes, I have a confession. That was me. I wanted to change to a cooler thing.
So you open the
Manatee
document
is the one I was
5
hoping
more
for.
times.
Yeah, I was actually curious to see what would
Manatee.
happen.